For day 4 notes, we're going to talk about triangle congruency. So we're looking at 2 different triangles and we're going to decide how are they congruent. And there are 5 different ways to decide that. At the very top up here where the title is, we're also going to add in one called HL. So for the first one, it's called side, 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 or SSS. If 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to 3 sides of another triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So if you look at the triangle given, we see that the first triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, and this is because all of the sides are matching up here, okay, which is side, side, side. So AB is congruent to DE, and then BC is congruent to EF, and then CA is congruent to FD. Then the triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay, for the next one, we have side, angle, side. It says, if 2 sides and the included angle of one triangle is congruent to 2 sides and 2 included angles of another triangle, then the 2 triangles are congruent. Alright, what does that mean? So I have a side equal to the DE here. Okay, I have an angle and an angle match up. Then I have another side, another side. The deal is the angle has to be the included angle, which is included means the angle between the 2 sides. So this is the angle between those 2 sides. So you would say if side AB is congruent to EF, then if angle B is congruent to angle E, and then the other side, BC, is congruent to side EF, we now can say that triangle ABC is congruent to DEF. Okay. The next one is called ASA for angle, side, angle. If 2 angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to 2 angles and an included side of another triangle, the triangles are congruent. Alright, so let's look. We have 2 angles that match up, the side in the middle, and then 2 more angles. So we write out everything that we know. We know angle A is congruent to angle D. We know that side AB is congruent to side DE. And we know that angle B is congruent to angle E. If this is the case, by angle, side, angle, these triangles are congruent. Okay? Next, we have angle, angle, side. If 2 angles at a non-included side of one triangle are congruent to 2 angles and non-included side of another angle, the triangles are included. We should also put on here the triangles are congruent. So let's match them up. Angle A is congruent to angle D. The next angle would be angle B is congruent to angle E. And then we could say that BC is congruent to segment EF. If this is the case, then our triangles are congruent. The non-included means a side opposite the angles. Okay, so here's our two angles. The non-included is hanging off to the side there. Hypotenuse leg. So this only works in a right triangle. Okay, maybe make yourself a note. Right triangles only. And I look to see, do I have a hypotenuse that is congruent to each other? So yes, BC, it's across from the right angle. BC would be congruent to EF. Okay, then I look for my leg, and I have a leg AB and a leg DE, which are also congruent to each other because it's given to you in the problem. And we can also tell that these are both right angles because angle A and angle D both have that little square, which means right angle. So if we have all of these components, then we can say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And then here it also gives you the definition of like where is the hypotenuse located and where is the leg located in the right triangle. For this section, you are just going to show the congruencies. So if I have side, 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 I show that a side from each one of these triangles matches up. So like this matches up with this. This matches up here, and this matches up with the third one. For side angle side, I have to have two sides and an included angle, which means the angle in between the two sides. So I could say like this one, an angle, and then another side. Okay, for angle, side, angle, two angles and an included side. So we could go with angle, a side, in between, another angle. Angle, angle, side. So we could go angle, angle, side. Hypotenuse leg. Okay, this is our hypotenuse. And then this could be our leg here.